Okay, welcome once again to our Tuesday segment, Little Stories, Big Impact. And I'm so privileged, so happy to have one of my friends, Charlotte. We met actually through a work engagement, but now I think having been so inspired by her energy, by her love for kids, we asked her to come on. And just nice also because this week, Campus Impact and Playeum are collaborating on a program for girls to inspire them to take up science. So I'm going to pass the time to Charlotte. Charlotte, could you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Thanks so much, Lisa. We are so happy to be here and working with you. I think we have collaborated for some time already. So my name is Charlotte. I'm the executive director of Playeum. Playeum is a children's charity where we use play and the arts to build life skills and social emotional development as well. As we know, in this COVID period, life skills are the skills that we actually need to
That's right.
navigate this world that we live in. And life skills come in the form of the top one of Playeum is creativity. Creativity in problem solving, in imagination, in critical thinking, communication, self-regulation, and self-awareness. These are very important skills for not just children, but also adults. They're like muscles, right? So you need to have opportunities to let them develop and like fester and stew and develop. And we use play because play is the easiest way, lowest barrier to expand those skills. And children actually navigate their world through play. They learn
That's
about
right.
negotiation at the playground. They learn about, oh, if I say something like this is what's going to happen. I will be ostracized. I will be included. They learn all these social skills through play. And the arts allows any of us, even as adults, to connect with our creator within. I mean, even if you've done the most basic art like coloring, you find it already therapeutic because you're connecting to something creative within. So that's the power of the arts. And a lot of our materials we use are recycled materials. We use very, very much things that are found at home, like toilet rolls, milk bottle cans.
That is so cool. And I totally resonated with what you said about play because play is really the language of children. You know, even as adults, Charlotte and myself, as leaders of organizations during COVID, we would have had to become very creative and very playful in our approach to our work as well. So, Charlotte, I'm just going to move on to the next question. How is Playum adapted during COVID-19?
Yeah, so that was a tough one for us. When March came last 2020, on March 26th, we were asked to close, obviously for reasons of safety. And we, in about April, May, we started our decision making on seeing how we can be sustainable going forward with the mission that we had. And the mission we have, or the vision, is for every child to be thriving best versions of themselves, right? And we believe it's through life skills, and we can develop life skills through play and the arts. So we started our thoughts about having actually closing the center for good. So for some of you who know Player, we had a children's center for creativity
It's
at
beautiful.
Gilman Barracks. Yeah, it's a beautiful
Yeah,
space. It was a 3,000
yeah.
square foot space. It was a lovely space where children came to play. And also we did our programs there. But as you know, even over the last 5 years of its existence, it was a real difficulty maintaining a center with, the cost factor, the rental, and a lot of our work's heavy on manpower because we use playmakers to facilitate play. So we don't hover above them, but we facilitate to scaffold their play, to lift it to the next level. So increasingly, it was already difficult to maintain a center. With COVID, we had to pivot. We had to pivot and bring our work to the community. So it's to work more with partners like yourselves to bring the work into the community and schools. As we also work a lot with schools, the programs that help whether children on low income or those on FAS.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the major pivots. I think the existence of the center over the last 5 years allowed Playeum to build its awareness and presence. And when people came to the center, they understood what we did. Right. I think when you talk about Playeum using play in the arts, you would think, so what do you exactly do? What play? You can play anywhere. Or why must you play in a special way? It's for us, it's never about the activity. It's about the creative facilitation of the adults.
That's
And
right.
that's another piece of work that we do a lot with is with adults. It's adults that need to
We've
be
lost it,
empowered.
right?
You have to hold space for those children, hold
Yes.
space meaning to give opportunities to ask questions versus solve their problems. So we also
Mm.
work with adults to hopefully to uh, allow them to be better creative facilitators of children. Yeah,
But
so
to be
we're pivoted
present, but
now.
step back also, right?
Yes, correct. To step back and let go. Yeah. Yeah. And
Mm.
also ask the right questions. Yeah. So we're
Mm.
pivoted now. We are based out of Common Ground in Bedok, and we are part of the Common Ground community. And that's it's a community of social enterprises and charities that look at addressing social needs. So we're part of a larger community, and we are working off that community, but with our own programs and together with them as well.
Oh, nice. So that's even
Yeah.
giving you more opportunities for collaboration and
Yes,
creativity.
in actual fact, right, that when you look at systems work, right, when you put the problem, let's just say whether the problem is poverty or the problem is life skills or opportunities for children to develop, to work with collaborators outside, putting the problem in the center is not always as easy as it seems. Collaboration takes relationships, takes trust. We are starting, I think the society has started to collaborate a lot more.
Mm.
COVID has really opened up that opportunity to collaborate a lot more. Yeah, and that's
That's
what
right.
I think is the beauty of a situation as such. Yeah, we'll see
That's
more
right.
efforts and interest in collaboration. Yeah.
That's right. And we can each do what we are strongest at and for
Yes.
the ultimate benefit of the client. So ultimately,
Yes.
everyone wins, right? And it's also intentional, very, very intentional in, discussing. And yeah, I get what you mean when you're working out the kinks and, who takes which part of the pie and how does it work out. But
Yes. Yes.
ultimately, I think if we keep the priority set right, it's for the benefit of the client. Let's each play
Yes.
to our own strengths. It can become
Yes.
so beautiful.
Yes, it is. Yeah, but there are challenges, and it's not unreal because the funding
Mm,
that comes is ring fenced. Then, if you want to
mm,
expand it to another collaborator, how does that work? And then the partner
mm.
that gets the funding. So it's all these things that, as you know, you run a nonprofit, and
Yeah.
even if you run a business, a social enterprise, there are aspects that are yours and has to be yours. You see, so collaboration is maturing. I think as we go on. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And we are living in very exciting times with
Yes.
COVID opening the doors and forcing all these things, right? So
Actually, it's
even
funny
more.
that the uncertainty in some way provides a bit of excitement.
That's
It's
right.
not, it's not, it's of course, you can also have anxiety and stress, which is there, but there's a part of the adrenaline keeps you pumping or going, right? Yeah.
It
And,
will
and
force
that's why
out
I
the
do
comfort
think,
zone.
yes, yes, it does. But
Mm,
that's why I do think even more so, all of us who are working in this space need to take care of self out
mm.
mentally and physically and emotionally. We need to take care of ourselves because if we're going to be driven by adrenaline for too long, at some stage we will pop also, you see. So I do think it's important that we take care of self because the adrenaline is driving a lot of the work because you can't see, you don't know what's going to happen. So you're
Mm.
basing on gut, you're basing on, yeah, a lot of
I
things
know,
that
yeah, the
are,
constant
yeah,
changes and adapting, and it can take its toll
it
on us.
can. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
which brings me to actually a very, very important next question. What should people take note of? And I think you brought up a very interesting point about self-care. So, before we care for the children, before we seek to work with children, we should make sure we are well cared for, that we are,
Yes.
in the right frame of mind to be good adults and caring adults and not like the inner child come out to play also with the kid, right? But what else do we need to know about working with kids?
I believe that a lot of work when we, like for us, when we work with the sector or we work with people, even when we have a relationship with someone else, our friends or partners, right? You first need to understand self. You need to have
Mm,
intrapersonal understanding and relationships, and then
mm,
you can have interpersonal, right? Because you need to know what you're bringing to the table. So in the aspect of our work with children, and first ask yourself, right? What is your perspective of children? Do you see them as half empty or half full? You see, because
mm.
a lot of people, I mean, I don't blame. I think before I worked for Playeum, I also thought that my son, it's you think of them as like empty vessels waiting to be filled. They're born with not much in them, so you need to fill it up so that
Like
they
blank
can be
slates.
full. Yes, but actually they come full already. They come full at
Mm,
where they are. So if you
mm,
see a child as creative and competent and able to contribute at whatever level that they can, the way you treat them will be very different. So if you see
mm,
your child as a problem solver, the way you ask them, like, what do you think we can do about this? will be very different than I will say that I told you how many times should you do this? I already told you many times to do this. So the way we deliver our message or the way we solve their problem for them is also reflects on our perspective of whether they're able. Allow them opportunities for voice, for agency, for choice, for voice,
Mm,
or for
mm.
ideation, or even thoughts. And even if the ideas are not practical, but for allowing for them for voice to express it, already builds that muscle cognitively, right? That
Mm,
they're given a
mm.
chance to express themselves. And very much like adults, when we are heard, when children are heard, they feel validated. They feel that their opinion matters.
Safer. That's
Yeah,
right.
they feel that's confidence, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's
You feel
right.
secure. And
Wow.
confidence brings about safety, a feeling of being heard, a being of validated. All safe feelings, all good feelings determine their behavior. Yeah. So when we
Mm,
say that our vision is very much children thriving as best versions of themselves, it's not comparing them to other people. So like for example, I have Tourette syndrome. So I've had this my symptoms came out when I was 5 and I was diagnosed at 8 years old. And this has
mm,
always been something that has not I have tics. I have vocal, motor, and facial and tics. It can be a setback, but also it doesn't have to interrupt the work I do, right?
mm.
It's you learn how to cope with it. So when I
That's
say
right.
that best versions of myself, I cannot compare myself to someone who doesn't have Tourette's, but I'm the best version of someone with Tourette's,
That's
right? I
right.
mean, for my best version of myself,
Charlotte
not even
Go.
me,
Yeah.
with
Yeah,
Tourette's. Yeah,
that's right. You're the
yeah.
best Charlotte Go you could be.
Yeah, I think it's that self-awareness that am I giving it my best? Am I
Mm,
doing my best at this point in time? Yeah, I always tell my son it's not so important whether you score the best or you achieve that you win this medal or you expert at mountain biking, but at any one point you're aware that I'm doing my best to do it. You see, like I'm doing
mm.
my best contribution at this point in time, and sometimes it's not your best, and be okay with it because maybe you're tired or you had a long
Given the
day,
circumstances.
given the circumstances. It's okay not to always be your best, but just be aware of that. There was a poster that came up in my feed that day for emails. Don't do for a child what they can do for themselves.
Oh,
Yeah.
totally. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I
So
mean, I think a lot of things I say are I know it tends to gear on the positive sides, and in reality, there are real challenges as a mother. Also, it's easy to wear my Playeum hat when I work with children, but when I work with
mm,
my own son, I also wear my own hat, right? And sometimes you
yes.
come into that. How many times have I told you not to do this? You do, but it's being aware that I'm in that mode as well, and what am
Mm,
I stopping or what am I allowing? Then I can
mm.
decide to pull back or to carry on. It's a self-awareness that you have to
There's
be,
so
yeah.
much more control also over how you are responding to the child when
Yes.
there's that level of self-awareness. Oh, thanks,
Yeah.
Charlotte. Really, really inspiring, and I'm so encouraged. What do you think is your best hope for children?
Be the best thriving versions of themselves. I think a lot of our approach has been strengths-based, especially our work with children with disabilities. We look at what they're able, not what they're not able. The not able
Mm,
is very
mm,
obvious, right? The not able
mm.
is very obvious, but what are they able? And from there, we take it from there. And it can be quite emergent. You don't know where it's headed to. A lot of our
Mm,
work is emergent because not only in the activity that it can lead that because we don't really think about the output, we think about the outcomes and the process. Like, did you build upon your creativity? Not so much whether you made the perfect aeroplane, because it's not the children. The children want to be themselves. It's for
that's
us
right.
parents or educators to recognize strengths and allow a child to be the best versions of themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes even allowing them to take the driver's seat, right?
Yeah.
They are
Yes.
in
Yes.
control and we are not, and we have to follow
Yeah.
with that program.
Yeah,
Wow,
I
that's
think
so
the dance
powerful.
is a balance between, I mean, adults sometimes have the knowledge and they have abilities to guide. So it's a fine dance between when you
Mm.
guide, when you instruct, and when you let go.
Thank you so much, Charlotte. I could go on all day with you, but really, really appreciate your time and
Thank
appreciate, I think,
you.
the insights and so much love for children and that strengths-based perspective as well is such a powerful reminder for myself. So, yep, for all you adults, if you have the chance to ever interact with a child, I hope that Charlotte's tips have been helpful to you. And do tune in again next week for Little Stories, Big Impact. And we've had Charlotte with us. Thank you so much, Charlotte.